If I can, Steve, you had shared about, you mentioned no blame earlier, and it brought me back to something you had shared on how cementation's doing investigations at this point on fatal events or high potentials, where this no blame concept is coming through. And that's fairly new in that room, I would say. It's something I've heard, seen, have definitely attempted to participate, but I don't think it was the predominant way people were looking at things in the room. So it's clearly innovative, and it'll be fun to see how long it takes before a concept like that flows through and we start sharing and talking more about it for something like that to become more mainstream. What are your thoughts?
I think it's the right approach, because if we focus too much on the human element of these things, then you make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. And if your corrective actions are saying, well, we're going to discipline Eric, or we're going to fire Steve, or we're going to tell him not to do that again, it's likely to happen again. So yeah, actually at that last meeting, there was an example given, and somebody actually challenged the presenter a little bit. While it is an open and supportive environment, somebody said, well, I don't know if you've really actually managed that risk well. You could do this, you could do that. And if you look more at the science of what hurts people and the energy sources and how you keep people away from those, I think we'll do a better job. The easiest thing to do an investigation is to say that a worker or workers or a supervisor screwed up. Sometimes people do screw up, right? But that's simple. But if you want to, I think, get better corrective actions, then you'll look beyond that. And I think it's pretty cool that in these meetings we'll challenge each other a little bit on that, and call each other out if needed. And that's all in the interest of protecting the people in the industry. We too know, we also know as contractors, people change coveralls sometimes. It's probably not as much as the industry believes it to happen, but your worker, your supervisor could become our supervisor, that next day, or the next project. And if we can just get away from blaming the people and looking at better methods, better systems, then we'll get better.
Yeah, because you can see, if you're sharing, especially when you're sharing names, you can see that you potentially are exposing all of the future workplaces for that individual in one shot. And we talk about this all the time, that Swiss cheese analogy, right? If you're going to blame the last hole that the thing occurred as the source of the problem, you missed out on a whole series of events that took place to actually garner that opportunity, right?
You've got to look at all the holes. You can't just blame the A-hole. You have to look at the B and the C and the, anyway. But I wanted to comment on something that Steve said, because no association is perfect, and we've had our challenges over the years. And a couple of lessons learned. It's very important that the executive be from a number of different companies, and that's the way Steve and the team are set up now. When you have one company with 3 or 4 people on the executive, we ran into problems. The other thing that happened over the years, because mining is such a cyclical industry, contracting, one or two things are happening. You're either short of work or short of people. There never seems to be an in-between. And when you're short of people, there's the issue of poaching. And you've got all the best safety people in that room. And there were times, back a while ago, where it became a problem. And we had to sit down and talk about it as an executive and say, nobody's going to show up if they're worried about their people getting poached. So there's kind of a gentleman's or an unwritten rule there about that. But that's a few lessons learned from a long-term association. And I don't think that's just safety. That could be anything in any industry.